Harnessing Creativity in Technology-Driven Sectors. And hosting this session is none other than Balaji Pattabhiraman. Balaji has over 18 years of experience. He's worked with fantastic companies like Oracle, Microsoft, Baker Hughes, and he's currently with Google as the engineering leader for AdTech. In terms of his education, he studied at BITS Pilani, he's done a course at IIM, and I think there's a lot of learning that he's had on the job. So I think there's a lot that we're going to learn from Balaji today in terms of what you can expect in the industry, but also how you can shape yourself as a professional. So without further ado, let me hand it over to you, Balaji.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you, Amit. Good to see a jam-packed house. It's a young crowd, speaking for like 2 to 3 times this month, but by far this is the youngest. So good to see the energy. Good afternoon all. Hope you have a good beginning to the day. So we're going to talk about creativity in tech. But before that, what I do in my day job, I manage teams at Google. We build ads for search. So when you search on Google, you see ads, whether you like it or not. Some of those ads comes from my team. So next time if you want to blame, you have a specific person's name to blame. Okay. So we primarily work on sending you relevant ads. That's the space I operate in. Primarily worked on building products. So when I spoke to Amit, we were figuring out what makes sense to this audience. Like, I'm an engineer at heart, engineering at my job. Like, and this is a crowd for creativity, design. But there is a lot of intersection. So what you will hear in this session is the intersection between design, creativity, and product development. And what does it mean to build great products, right? And how does design help? So that's the pitch, that's the context. Feel free to ask any questions, any point. Are you guys ready? Let's go through this, yeah? Awesome. Cool. So what is creativity, right? There's multiple ways you can think about it. Steve Jobs said that creativity, so there is no such thing as a creative person, right? So you may say that, hey, this guy is creative, that company is creative. But what is actually creative? Like, what makes them creative, right? Primarily, there are people with experiences, right? Some people have more experiences, and some people make more out of their experiences, right? So they think about their experiences more than others. So that's what opens up creativity. And that's a rare commodity, right? So getting that experience is rare. And according to Steve Jobs, it says that it's about connecting things, right? So we'll look at a few anecdotes towards the end of the session. But just to set the context, there's no such thing as somebody who's been just born with creativity, right? It's the more you expose yourself to other things, you get more and more creative. Yeah? So with that, so what does creativity help you with, right? So let's say you go through this process of learning design, like you become creative. Where does, let's say you work on the industry, right? So I worked on the industry on multiple companies, but what does creativity really make a difference to the organization, right? And make a difference to you in the process. Primarily step change, right? So when I say step change, these are things that breaks the norm, right? Like these are like unconventional, unheard of. Let me give you a few examples. So how many of you guys seen this video? Yeah? Most of you, right? So this is Steve Jobs, and the way he is a great marketer as well, right? So he says that, hey, we are introducing 3 devices, a phone, iPod, an internet device, a phone, iPod, internet device, and then he just swells to that saying that, hey, here is iPhone, which does one thing. And people, the jaws drop, right? So they're unheard of. And how many of you have, I'm not saying going to say seen, how many of you used one of these phones? There is 3 people, wow. I thought I'm the only one who hold here. So for people who have not seen what this is, the younger people, we used to struggle, right? There used to be a keyboard occupying half the screen. This lady is laughing at me like, what kind of nonsense is this? And that doesn't go away, by the way. It stays there, yeah? You've seen that. So, and then he says that we are going to make this interface better. He says stylus, and then he says, what stylus? Here is the stylus, right? And then he just pinches and zoom, and the crowd goes like berserk, right? So pinch and zoom, which you take for granted, is a big deal that day. So what does this mean, right? So it is the same thing that existed, but then this is a different paradigm, right? This is a different way of looking at it. And then here is another one, right? Can anybody guess what's on top right? What is he opening? Yeah, that's a MacBook Air. He says that it is inside an envelope, right? So he opens an envelope. People think he's going to open up a document, and he says, hey, here is the MacBook Air. The slimmest that was ever produced will ever be produced. So these are paradigm shifting, and these are all creativity in tech, right? There's no better example than this. By doing this, you will have people who will dislike you, right? People went mad when we said, hey, that doesn't have a CD-ROM. How many of you know what's a CD-ROM? All of you. But laptops used to have that, right? Nowadays, you don't see that anymore. And he said, I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to get rid of 20 other things. And people are mad. But that has become the norm. So anytime you are going to make some disruptive change, you're going to polarize people, but that's part of it. So that's your step change. Creativity helps you do step changes, right? There's a long list. I'm not going to go through the entire list. Transportation, there is, so a few weeks back I was in San Francisco. There is this Venmo car. I don't know how many of you heard. So Venmo is an autonomous taxi that goes around in San Francisco. You can just go ahead and book. I took a ride. It's scary, right? So where you don't see a driver and things go around on your own. So that, like, step changes in transportation, is that an example? Then IoT, like you have talking to your Alexa, that's a new paradigm for talking or communicating with devices. Then there is AR, VR, and then your fintech, space. Elon Musk sends rockets just like time pass, right? So he sends one every week. So that's a big deal. That's unheard of. So those are the people who disrupt things, right? And then your COVID vaccines, that's a lot of tech. So I don't go into this a whole lot, but when you get time, just go through there's some videos on how they built the mRNA vaccines. Amazing story, right? So these are your examples of other step changes that that creative people can build, right? What else, right? So it's not just jazzy tech, it's also simplicity, right? So creativity goes along with simplicity. More you are creative, it means that you have opportunity to build simple tech but yet powerful. Here is how many, I'm not going to ask these kind of questions ever again, right? So this is Yahoo, 2002. And on top there you find the search bar somewhere, and this is going to be loaded with a zillion things. Pretty successful. Then Google came along and they said, we want to focus on search. You're here to find information. One plain page with an edit box and a search button. Like, there's a lot of real estate. Why are you wasting it, right? So Larry and Sergey said, we will build exciting experiences by finding the relevant content, right? That's your differentiator. That's what makes sense. That's why the users are there. And we solve that one problem very well and make it simple, right? And Google search is powerful, right? And then there were a lot of optimizations on how you are going to get your next DVD, right? How do you get the next CD? They put kiosks everywhere. They put DVD on your rental. They send it to your home. Then Netflix came along and said, I will give you 1,000 titles by the click of a button. I will stream it to your phone. Unheard of. It's simple, right? So the concept of just click a button, see the video is extremely simple. That's a creative solution, right? Of course, the advent of internet, the bandwidth and the speed help them along, but then you need to make use of what is there for you, right? So that's your simplicity. So recap, we said step changes. What else we said? Simplicity, yes. I'm just checking, you guys are listening, right? Then pivots, right? So you made awesome tech, you kept it simple, but is it that easy, right? You've seen like many people try. You only hear the success stories, right? So it's hard to miss out on the failures. Here is a here is this guy. I don't know. I mean, I don't expect a lot of you to know. Very low-key character. He's Stuart Butterfield. He is the founder of Slack. I think this is more popular than Flickr. So the story is fascinating. So if you guys have time, listen to a podcast with in the there's a series called How I Built This, right? And then there is a topic on Stuart Butterfield. So he built this game, right? He was fascinated with building games. He built a game called Never Ending, right? So the idea is it's not more about the game itself, but how do you connect people in the game. Extremely complicated. No one figured out how to play the game. He tried, put all his money, burnt all his money, went bankrupt. He was about to shut it down. Then someone in his team had a brilliant idea, saying that, hey, this place where people in the game share photos is super neat, right, and awesome. They just made that as a product, right? So creativity also helps you to pivot, to see opportunities in your failure. And he built Flickr. He sold that for $30 million to Yahoo, right? Amazing story. So he didn't stop there, right? This guy is known to fail apparently, right? So then his fascination with gaming never ended, right? So he built version 2 of the game. This time he called it, I don't remember the name. So second version of the same thing, similar, extremely complex, burnt all the 30 million he got, went back into debt. And then the team, while he was working, built a communication thing, a chat interface within their company because they didn't like whatever they had internally. And somebody had the brilliant mind. I think he hired the right people. Right? So whenever he fails, somebody says, hey, there is value, right? And somebody said that, hey, let's make this a product. And that's how Slack was born, right? So creativity also helps you to pivot, find success among your failures, right? In a same tone, same sense, anybody can guess what is on the left? The first step on the moon, right? So Apollo space mission, so I was talking about failure giving you to pivots. Here is a success. We believe that people landed on the moon, okay? So let's assume that. There are people who doubt that, but I believe. But along with that, what I also know for a fact is in the process of these Apollo missions, the NASA reinvented or made use of what they built for space tech creatively for additional uses. So MRI that you all take, right, so if you have an issue, came out of the Apollo mission. So they figured out how to enhance poor images. So all the image processing from Apollo mission gave rise to MRI. Then you have, in space missions, you need pumps, right? So they are like very, very low power consuming pumps that works like millions of kilometers away from the Earth, and it can't fail, right? So it has to work, and it has to consume extremely low power. What else is a pump? It's your heart, right? So somebody said that, hey, here is a fault tolerant pump, a pump that will never fail, consumes low power, and they built LVAD, the left ventricle device which you put, so what people call as an artificial pump, right? So came out of the Apollo missions. So much more. There is the your memory foam, your dustbuster, your Nike Airs, a lot of this came from Apollo. So what are we talking about? We are saying that creativity in tech helps you to build reuse from success or failure, right? So that's your third part. So there are 6 more to grow. So if you feel this is getting boring, there is only 3 more to bear, okay? So then, what else creativity help you to do, right? Build empathy, right? So creative people, creative process, hand in hand goes with building empathy. So your product is successful only if you have products that are built with users in mind. Who is the person on right? Perfect. So this is Nandan Nilikeni. Nandan Nilikeni is the father of. That's right. So yeah, he worked for Infosys, but yeah, he's the brain behind Aadhaar, right? So here is what the government threw a problem at him, right? So let's fingerprint, let's give an identity to every billion of users in the country. Identity existed. There was voter ID, there was ration card, there was blah blah blah, there were multiple things. But the challenge at that time is a villager sitting in a hut. He keeps his ID card, washes away, right? So there's a number. You can't have a smartphone and a DigiLocker for a people who's not savvy. And so he said, the person is the identity, right? So Aadhaar is the first biometric first identity, right? So you bring yourself, your fingerprint, your iris, your retina, are all those. So here is a creative solution to a billion plus people, right? And then make it work, right? So Aadhaar system works, one of the highly fault tolerant system. Never have seen that system authentication not work, unlike your IRCTC, right? So this one works. So all kudos to Nandan, right? So that's an example of simplicity and building empathy, right? So, and here is the more awesome video. So here is where UPI, you entertain people with your bill, I don't take cash, right? So here is a UPI on the bill, go for it, right? And then there is a lady with UPI, they're showing it. So here is a case where this person asking for money is offline, the person who can send you the money is online. It's a great system, right? So, and then all banks are connected, UPI payments always go through, interoperable with multiple payment apps, unbelievable. So last year I was in Andaman, middle of the ocean, one of the remotest of the islands you can, right? I got 5G network and I had a UPI payment, blown away, right? So India is developing, right? So if I can get that working in, this was Havelock, right? So I don't know if you guys have been to Havelock. Earlier, people used to be scared. The last time I went was many years back, right? So, but now it's just very well connected. And then you also have to make money, right? So most of these companies which dominate are creative, and then they build monopoly, right? Creativity, so most creative companies build monopolies. Here is Apple's share of your mobile phones in US, 70%, about 65% of mobile phones in the US is Apple, right? And whenever we build something at work, we optimize for iPhone, because US has the money and US has the iPhone, right? So most of our products are iPhone first. Google builds it that way, right? Although we have Android, most of Google products are iPhone first. And then the rest of the gang. So it's market share, right? So Google has 90% of market share. And that's how we make money out of ads, because we build a great experience on search, we sneak in ads, right? And then there is the other 5%. And Bing is trying to use OpenAI. I know, I'm sure you guys all know about it. So that's a monopoly because of primarily the solution being simple and creative, right? Tesla, so this is the market cap. So what is market cap? Can anybody tell me? So market cap is nothing but the number of shares multiplied by the cost of one share. So basically how much money they have in the shares that are being traded. So essentially it just tells you the value of the company, right? So this is like $650 billion of all of Tesla. And then this is the rest of the world. It's not just US, right? So rest of the world, if put the market cap of the biggest automobile makers, Tesla surpasses that, right? So it is path-breaking in what they built, right? So electric cars, fully autonomous, mobile, digital first. There's a lot of things about Tesla. I don't have to tell you guys, right? So is it bad, right? So monopoly generally is seen with a bad eye. Monopoly is considered to be evil, but not necessarily. So there is a book, Peter Thiel's 0 to 1. If you ever aspire to start your own company, do a startup. This is like one of the books you should read. So 0 to 1 is how do you make step changes. So in that it says that, Peter Thiel says that these are the people who give options to users and make the world a better place. So creative monopolist is not like your regular monopolist, right? So regular monopoly may be people who can arm twist and get their way around. But these are like your like government could be having monopoly in few areas, right? But these are creative monopolists, and they are welcome to. I mean, they welcome challenge, right? So it's just that they being creative, they create the monopoly. Okay, so these are few dimensions of creativity, and what does that help you in order to succeed? The companies that you work for, how do they succeed? What are the dimensions that creativity help with you? What is the future, right? Now, is this some secret sauce that is there only for the select few with a lot of money? It used to be the case, right? So here is a chart of what traditional AI. So I think in the recent past there is AI and ML. There's a lot of jazz around how we use generative models, LLMs, and such, right? But if you look at the old, the biggest, we have the head and the tail. So head is where you have the maximum return of your investment. So people who can burn money, serving ads is a great way to make money, where you can be creative, use the AI. As you go down, there are these tail use cases. Somebody wants to optimize their t-shirt manufacturing, right? This guy cannot spend the same amount like what Google can spend or what a Microsoft can spend. So AI was really focused on the left, people who can put the AI to get the returns, right? You have to make $1 billion to put back $1 million. And AI was costly, and so the poor pizza guy cannot use AI. But things are changing, right? Now democratized generative AI is something which is affordable, which is accessible to everybody, right? So users have the amount of knowledge that the people with the secret sauce used to have. That's what is being democratized. And technology helps, right? So the cloud, pay as you go, the subscription model helps companies and individuals to innovate and be creative, right? And finally, and the bottom bar says every business is an AI business, right? So here are multiple AIs. If you just search, there is text to video. You can do an ad creative, right? So creative in an ad, I think some of you may be aware. Like how do you just create the best format to send it to all these social media platforms, right? So earlier there used to be a marketing team who have experts, UX designers, build the creative, and there used to be content publishing, and then there will be people who do social media marketing. A lot of heavy lifting used to exist. Now there are end-to-end solutions. You can create a video for your campaign, just AI. So there is AI videos, AI creatives, AI marketing, and if you are a developer, there is AI code generation, a lot of things, and then text to video. So it's free, most of them are cheap, and that helps you to be easily creative. Like any person in this room can go today and use these tools, right, with paying less or nothing. So closing thoughts. So I'd like to talk about two things, right, especially for this audience. Whenever you want to upskill yourself, right, be extremely curious. This is again a Steve Jobs example, the third one probably, right? He went, I'm not sure how many of you have heard the Stanford speech, right? So it's valedictory speech. So he went and attended all the calligraphy classes, right? And he has got nothing to do with calligraphy, he just liked it. So he went to all the calligraphy classes, and in the future, when he built Macintosh, all the beautiful typefaces that you see, the fonts that you see, came out of his calligraphy class. So be curious. If you like something, don't try to learn it just because you have a purpose to it. You can implement it. Just learn what you love. And he says he can connect the dots looking backwards, right? Not looking forwards. So that's a thought I want to leave you guys with. And technology, engineering, design are all becoming mishmashed, right? So there's no such thing as, hey, there's engineering, there is design, there's product that we build, right? And the most breathtaking products have great creativity at their heart. So with that, I leave you guys food for thought with this last slide, and awesome to see you all, and thanks, Amit, for the opportunity. Hope you guys have a great session with this. Yeah.